protecting Angelenos and anyone who works or visits here from discrimination. I am so thrilled to be joined today by the Executive Director of the Los Angeles Civil and Human Rights and Equity Department, Capri Maddox. So nice to have you here.
Thank you for having me, Maria. Glad to be here.
All right. It's an interesting department. It's just a little over a year old, but what exactly are the responsibilities of the Los Angeles Civil and Human Rights and Equity Department?
Maria, we are doing so many things as it relates to equity and inclusion in the city of Los Angeles. Really want to thank the mayor for, standing up this department along with the resources that City Council has given us. We saw intensity as it relates to hate crimes and discrimination in the last 5 years really spike. Our department is tasked with dealing with these discriminatory practices, particularly as it relates to the private sector in the areas of commerce, education, employment, and housing.
What kind of tools do you have that you can use to address all of these disparities, this discrimination, this inequity that needs to be fixed as fast as possible? What can you guys do?
So there are a few things. Of course, when we think about looking at things through the policy equity lens, we can weigh in as City Council moves forward and relies on our department to weigh in as it relates to policies they may be looking at. Anything from hiring within LAPD to planning decisions like, how do we get rid of food deserts, for example. Other things that we can work on as it relates to housing is being sure that we are a voice to provide information to landlords. So thinking about the Apartment Owners Association of Greater Los Angeles, we can weigh in, we can provide equity in that space to make sure that housing opportunities are equal for all residents here in Los Angeles.
It's been a contentious year for so many reasons, these hate crimes, etc. How are we? Are we getting worse or are we getting better? I mean, you're really getting a bird's eye view of all of the areas of the city in terms of equity and diversity and discrimination, etc. So you probably have a better idea than any of us do beyond the headlines. What's the pulse of the city? Are we trying hard to be good to each other, or are we falling apart at the seams?
Well, I definitely wouldn't say we're falling apart at the seams. There's some places that are worse off than Los Angeles, but I'll tell you this, Los Angeles is a city that's beautiful. The mosaic of Los Angeles is what makes us special, and we want to lean in and we want to celebrate it. When you think about hate crimes being, on the rise in Los Angeles, it's heartbreaking. I'm a native. I'm born right here in downtown Los Angeles. And so it just breaks my heart that I see hate crimes in the last 5 years, soar. They're up 55% over the last 5 years. And of course, we know that hate crimes are up with certain communities. And sometimes they haven't gone down in others. For our African American and our Latino communities, hate crimes are still, on the uptick. And of course, we've seen a really concerning surge in hate crimes against our transgender brothers and sisters, as well as the API community. So when you think about the Asian Pacific Islander community, hate crimes for that group are up 114%.
Oh my gosh.
It is, really scary when people are afraid to let their mothers go to the store by themselves. I mean, and for most of the pandemic, that was the only place you could go, is to the supermarket. And so I really want to let you all know that, hate is hate is hate. And we want to fight it everywhere because as you see, hate crimes start on the uptick with one group and then it's at another group. We just saw a hate incident happen against, the Jewish community. And so we need to be intentional to deal with it because when they come for one of us, they're coming for all of us. And I'm proud to say that our department is leading the effort for a PSA, a public service announcement campaign. And this was an effort that Councilmember Ridley Thomas, Councilmember Nithya Raman, and Councilmember John Lee really led. So you will see a beautiful PSA campaign to show that LA is for all. and we want to celebrate the beauty of Los Angeles with our wonderful, diverse mosaic.
You have such a light and such a positive attitude, and yet you walked a pretty rough road growing up. Does that influence and does that feed into, what it is that you want to succeed in doing for the city of Los Angeles? And I don't mean to get too personal, but you did have a tough time growing up.
Oh, yes, sure. Maria, you have to think about, and many people know that 5 families took me in when I was in high school, so I would not have to go to the foster care system. And so many people invested in my life. And I think it is important to know that in all that I do, I represent Los Angeles because so many people did so many things for me that they did not have to do. Of course, I lived with both of my grandmothers, my aunts, my play aunts, growing up, and I learned so much from so many people that poured into me. And I think that in my service to others, that is the way. I can't pay those folks back, but I can pay it forward. And that is what I want to do.
I mean, I know this is kind of jumping subject slightly, but I was thinking about what you were saying earlier. I just read an article recently about an African-American woman who had put her house up for sale. And she had 2 people come and do a determination of the value of the house. And then the last time, she had only talked to the person on the phone, and she had a white friend come and stand in as her. And the value of the house was appraised at substantially higher, which of course was horrific and terrifying and awful. So in your role with the LA Civil Rights Department, if someone has that kind of experience, what should they do? What can they do?
Maria, you brought up a very important point. Hate and discrimination is costly.
Yeah.
And it has affected the generational wealth for many families, particularly people of color. And you gave the example of an African American that suffered discriminatory practices. And we have the investigation arm that will be able to address those issues. And as we build out that side of our department, we will have protocols in place on how we will deal with some of those issues. And as you said, it may be having someone of a different race, or having an investigator to stand in and to do the research. We know in Los Angeles, your zip code determines a lot of things, but your skin color in America speaks before you do as well. And it's a shame, and it's a reality. And we've seen this over and over again. And even in these days, when we're seeing gentrification, all of a sudden, the properties are more valuable when you just get, a few faces on the street that aren't people of color. And so we need to deal with it. And these are important conversations that we do need to have in our city and in our country, frankly. But when you think about it, African Americans and Latinos pay $700 million more in their mortgages today than their white counterparts with the same credit scores. And when you think about the discriminatory, practices that happen in this space, I'm putting banks on notice and others on notice that we are going to look at these numbers. We want to compare the numbers and the stats as it relates to interest rates, for people that are similarly situated but just have one difference. So I think it is really important for us to not only have these important conversations, but again, to hold people accountable, because this gets their attention. And I'm just letting folks know is we are ready to work, and we are ready to serve, and we're ready to bring justice. And some folks are really going to have to pay a price.
Wow. Well, it's been a pleasure talking to you, and I can't wait to hear all the progress that's being made, because I'm sure it's going to be profound in a very short period of time.
Thank you, Maria. Keep the faith and keep the fight.